So, I had someone ask me the other day for some advice on how to find some more time in their day to work on their art skills, so they can leave their job and make art their full-time career. They asked because they have a very chaotic schedule, and this resonated with me because although mine is not as bad as theirs, I feel like I also have a slightly inconsistent schedule, and so I have developed a way for me to better organize my time, and I'd like to share that with you today because I think it could be useful for a lot of you because I think there's quite a lot of people out there who are in the same boat as me and are self-taught artists that would like to eventually make art their full-time career. So hopefully this can help you, and I'm gonna share with you sort of in 3 steps what I do and how I structure my week, how I decide what to learn in my week, and how I go about staying on track with that. So step 1 is the block-in. So to preface, I work in a Starbucks. I work somewhere between 25 to 30 hours a week. I only work 4 days a week, and I do not work on Sundays. More on these choices later. But this means that my average week will look a little something like this. So this is my current week. Today we are Monday, recording this video. I've put all 4 of my shifts in for the week. I need to get a haircut, so that's been put in there as well. And I live away from home. I don't live with my phone anymore, so I've got a dinner in there where I'm going to go see them. So those are my slots, my things that cannot be changed. As you can see, I've also got these like block lines in every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. As I mentioned earlier, I don't work Sundays, and that brings me to my first key point, which is routine. Having a routine and having habits that you get into is the best way to sort of manage your time, especially when you have a schedule that changes all the time with shift work and a rota. It'll vary, it'll be different every week, it'll never be the same. So that's why I also don't work Sundays, because I have that one day every week where I know I'm not going to be working, so I don't have to ever like mentally prepare myself for that to be a thing. I always know I'm going to have Sundays free. I always know when I'm going to have breakfast when I can, provided my shift allows. I always know when I'm going to be eating lunch and dinner. And I always know when I'm going to be going to bed, because getting to bed at the same time every day is sort of it's like the bedrock of your routine. Without that, then you're not going to rest properly, and it's sort of the main way to get into a routine is by having a consistent time that you go to bed and wake up. So, it seems pretty self-explanatory, but now that we know the areas that we can't work, step 2 is to just fill in the blanks and put in the areas that we can work. So, here you can see all the areas marked in this lilac-y purple color, areas that I have scheduled to do my artwork. This is any time for me to do the projects that I need to do. I'll discuss what it is I do later in the 3rd step, but that's what that is, and all of the red spots are places where I will not be working, so that hour and a half before bed where I try and unwind and sort of get my brain ready for bed. I also have little red lines put in there in between the lilac. That's for breaks. I try and do something like go for a walk, make a cup of tea, do any chores I need to do, try and do anything that's not too stimulating. And yeah, that's how I will schedule myself. The key to this whole sort of time blocking is you need to treat it like it's also a job. So it seems kind of like unfun to go from, you know, an opening day starting at 6:30, finishing at 1:30 to then going straight into another job. But you have to treat your education like it is a job, because then you'll take it more seriously, and then you'll stay more disciplined. You know, you need to make sure that you're actually not just sort of half watching your lectures. You need to actually watch them. You need to make sure you're actively taking notes. And the key to being able to do that is to just try and stay off your phone, because your phone is just a distraction. And the longer that you're able to just put your phone in the living room and ignore it and remove all distractions and just focus on your learning, then you'll just get used to it and you won't find it as hard to do anymore. So now that we know when we can work and when we can't, the last step is to just fill in these lilac spots with what we're going to learn. So this is the easiest part. I learned this from a book called Time Management for Creative People by Donald Roos. And in it, he shares something called a to-don't list. and working backwards. But we'll focus on that working backwards theory primarily. It may seem self-explanatory, but it essentially boils down to this. So we'll use me as an example. My main goal is to work in an art outsourcing studio. So somewhere like Six More Vodka or Envar. So how would I do that? Well, obviously you apply, but you need to apply with a strong portfolio. So if we go and look at my portfolio now, we can see, okay, so here we are. It's not great, right? Like it's missing a lot of stuff. It's like, so say you want to be making Riot Splash illustrations. Well, firstly, there's nothing like that in there at all. No matter how bad it is, there's nothing like that at all. It's mostly just portraits and some figure shots. The figure shots don't even have any color. So there's clearly a lot in here that needs to be worked on. There's no real direction with mood and color. They just sort of seem to be arbitrarily chosen, or it's all fan art. It's all unoriginal, which isn't the worst thing. Like there's people that have gotten a job off of fan art, but ideally it would be good to show something in there. And also, there's absolutely nothing about the creative process. There's sketches, and then there's paintings, but there's no sketches of the paintings. How are they going to see my process? How are they going to see how I work? So clearly the main takeaway here is we need to improve my art fundamentals. So in order to improve my art fundamentals, we can just go and draw like boxes and primitives and do a bunch of figure drawing, and then go and do value studies, and then go and do a bunch of thumbnails of some nice paintings, which are all good things that you should do. But it's boring. It's really boring when you are learning arbitrarily without a goal in mind. Obviously, we've got the overarching goal of getting a job, but that's still pretty vague. So the best way to do this is through project-based learning. So what this means is you set yourself a goal. What is it you want to do? So for me, I had a project that I wanted to do. I wanted to start. It was where I make this montage of a bunch of my favorite characters across different games and then put them all into one big piece. So when I started that, I drew my first figure, and I was like, wow, this is a load of crud, right? Like, it's terrible. So I went and learned a bit of gesture, learned a bit of anatomy, learned how to break down shapes into their simpler forms, and then we were able to start producing some nicer things. Now it's like my montage started with one character. It started with just this drawing of Kane, and now we're up to 7. So it's made progress, but it's still bits need to be worked on. We have this picture of Akali in here. It's looking not too bad. The gesture's a bit that her right foot, the left foot, is looking a bit odd. We got the painting of Phantom Assassin in there. 2 different games, although similar. You got links in there. So far, the characters are only from 3 games, but the list is big. It'll grow. And so it's an example of how, by having a goal, having something that you want to get done, that you are interested about, it then makes you want to learn the rest of the things. It makes you want to learn the boring stuff. So I now, another example would be this illustration here. Atom Hawk is a game studio, and they are hosting their art contest. They have an art contest every year. They have really good prizes. They have lots of really good information on the website about how you can make a decent entry, and so this is the kind of work that I want to be doing. So I thought I'd enter, and by entering, I'm learning all of the things that I'm really bad at that I can then go and fix. So that's the last point: is project-based learning is the key to progressing your art career. Is one of the keys to progressing your art career, because it engages you whilst you're learning all of these really boring but really important art fundamentals. So that's it. That's how I schedule my week. That's how I plan my time. I hope this was helpful for some of you. And if it was, then thank you very much for watching.